especially young people. That's what
Right.
it's interesting. After I came forward, and I was really scared to come
Yeah,
forward. I did
yeah.
not want to come forward. I did so much soul searching, and in good conscience, I could not stick what I had in a drawer. It just seemed too important. And I figured, okay, I'm just going to, and you'll read in the book that
Yeah.
from my near-death experience that I did meet 3 giant beings above the earth. And I have felt that they have been my guides since I was 8 years old, and I'm going to be
Right.
74. Okay, it's a long time. But I have come to trust in their guidance, because every time I have a crossroads or a question and I meditate, I don't hear voices, but I've learned to meditate and try to connect with that energy. I get a feeling, a strong feeling to do something, one thing or
Yeah.
another. And it's always taken me to a good place. I'm going to interject right now here a couple of things, if I may. One that you might find interesting is, before I went to medical school, I was in professional musical theater. Okay, I toured with Gordon McRae in Oklahoma, and Betty Grable in Guys and Dolls, and Barbara Eden, and I understudied her in Sound of Music, and I did Broadway with Sherman Hemsley, Alice in Wonderland, who was Mr. Jefferson before he got famous. He was the caterpillar. I don't know if you ever watched Mr. Jefferson, but he was a riot, and he always made me laugh.
Yeah, I don't know
The Jeffersons, the Jeffersons.
Oh,
okay.
the Jeffersons.
Jeffersons,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But at any rate, then when we moved to Phoenix, actually, I was singing. I have a 3-octave college choral voice, which I thought was a gift given to me, because I was looking for why I came back. I was told I had to come back, okay, during my near-death experience. And I thought that's why I came back, to give people joy from my voice, right? And I was so lucky to have gotten all these wonderful parts and, shows with icons in the field at the time. And anyway, when I first came here, I was invited to interview for a audition for a Johnson & Johnson wax commercial. And here I was, 30 years old, but I looked much younger. I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old at home. And I did the commercial, and the gal that called me pulled me aside, and she said, "Lynn," she said, "you did a great read, but they think you're too old to be a young housewife." I said, "I am a young housewife. I've been playing ingenues since I was, like till now," right? And that stuck in her mind. And she also saw me sing the anthem. I used to do the anthem at the Suns games and the hockey games and the football games and so forth. And she remembered that I had a big voice. And I was practicing in the practice with my husband. And I get a call. And they say, Seibal's on the phone, and I didn't remember who she was. Yeah. I had met her in 1980, and this was like 83. And she said, "Lynn, do you remember you did a Johnson & Johnson wax commercial for me years ago?" I said, "Oh, yes, honey." She said, "I remembered that they thought you were too old to be a young housewife." You ready to talk about serendipities, right? That she got a call from an up-and-coming team of brothers called the Coen brothers, who had only done one film at the time. And they were going to do a Black comedy called Raising Arizona, about a family that can't conceive. So they take, whatever they can to have babies, and they end up with quintuplets, right?
Yeah.
And the mother is older. And she said, "Sure, I remember." And I remembered you had a big voice because you have to scream. Right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, fine. Okay. So I asked her, well, what kind of character she is, because when I was doing health tips in Philadelphia in 76, I got a call from the casting director from Rocky 2.
Oh, wow.
Because somebody recommended me to play the doctor in Rocky 2, because there's a doctor in the hospital that treats Rocky's wife, right? And when I walked in, Joy Todd looks at me and she says, "You don't look like a doctor." I said, "I am a doctor." So, and I did not get the part, right? So I asked her, what would she look like? So she said, she's kind of homely looking, whatever. So I go to the audition looking like I look in the film. Okay. It was 3 hours of makeup and hair to look like I did in the film. But I go with a little dowdy outfit and little spectacles, and I walk in. and here, my hair up, right? And here in the audition room, and there were girls there from LA and from New York, and I hear them screaming like a scream. You know, and I thought, well, how can I make this different, right?
Yeah.
And I go in there, and at the table was Sonny and Joel and Ethan Cohen, right? And they're like kind of hippies, and they were wearing this stuff. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to hate me. I'm looking I'm looking like such a caricature, and I'm wearing it. And even Sonny says, and you remind me of her, by the way, you look like her. Sonny says, oh, Lynne doesn't usually wear. They said, no, we like them, and I ended up wearing glasses. But at any rate, I started at a low. They said, can you scream? So I started at a low B. Now my voice is not like it was then; it's very out of shape. But I started at a low B. I went, scream, right? Well, that was it. They had me do the couple lines, and they laughed, and they liked it. That was it. They said, you have the part.
Wow.
Which was amazing. But what was really amazing, anybody that's seen it out there or that does watch it, it's become a cult favorite.
Right. It is a cult.
I mean, I'm so honored to have been in it. And I think that also was, talk about serendipity, because it came out in 87, right? 87, 10 years before the mass sighting. And when I finally came forward in 2004, and I was doing conferences all over the world, really. But one of the conferences, somebody came up to me and they said, because, once they got wind that I did Raising Arizona, it was like nobody even listened to anything else.
Right. I know, it all stopped there.
But somebody came up to me and said, there's a reference to your character and UFOs in Raising Arizona. I said, really? Because I hadn't watched it since the 80s. And this was 2005 when I was like touring 2006. And I went back to look. After one of the quintuplets is in, and the cast was so stellar. I mean, Nicolas Cage, he had done a couple movies before, but Holly Hunter, it was her first movie.
Wow.
John Goodman, it was his first big movie. Frances McDormand, okay.
I have to go back and watch it. I know I watched it.
I mean, the cast was unbelievable, okay. But at any rate, I go back once we have the quintuplets and Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter get married and they can't conceive. So they get this idea, and it's a black comedy, to kidnap one of the quintuplets, and that we won't miss them, right? Okay. And after that happens, they have a news conference in front of our home. And one of the reporters sticks a microphone in my husband's face and says, there's a rumor that your son was abducted by UFOs. Is there any truth to that? And my husband says, oh, son, please don't print that. If his mama reads that, she'll lose all hope. Which is totally different from my own take. But what's significant is there is not one other reference in the entire movie to UFOs, except that 10 years before the mass sighting. What's even more interesting, you ready, is that the cinematographer, who was also just getting started, went on to do the movie Big, and When Harry Met Sally, and The Addams Family, and When the West Was Won with Will Smith, and on and on. He also created and directed the Men in Black series, which opened, the very first one opened in 1997, the same year as the Phoenix Lights.
A lot of coincidences,
coincidence, right?
Wow.
So isn't that amazing? That amazing? So anyway, to get back to the story with the Phoenix Lights, once all this happened and I had to do soul searching, what am I going to do with this stuff? I don't want to, can I stick it in a drawer and show it to my grandchildren? I really thought about that, by the way.
Right.
I'll show it to my grandchildren.
It was a safe way to go,
and see what they think, right?
Yeah.
But it just seemed too important. And, and then when you bring all the expertise that I had from all the years of medicine and going out in the field at NBC and researching and writing and directing the shoot and going back and editing and then being on the set with Jessica Savage. I don't know if you remember that name.
I do,
She was my mentor. I never did that before. And, she would ask me questions and whatever. And having all that, building up to the point of the Phoenix Lights and finally deciding that, okay, and you'll read in the book, then I want to give away too much, that I
I've
finally,
read everything except the last chapter.
okay.
Because I fell asleep last night.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
a good one too. But I would ask my friends finally, why do I have this? I don't know anything about this topic. I'm so uninformed. I'm just learning myself. And they would look at me and say, Lynn, if anybody can do something credible and professional with this, you can. You've been doing this for 40 years, right? With health reporting and stuff. So it got to the fact with, how can I not do this? You know what I mean? I just really would feel guilty.
Not bringing it out to
the public and just letting them decide for themselves. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. Okay, the data is there. I'm telling the story. Some of it after the mass sighting, I mean, you read it. After mass sighting, there was some paranormal stuff that happened that was really out there. And I share it all. But people can decide for themselves.
And you talk about in the book on the crop circles, which are fascinating and just blow my mind too.
That there's orbs right before the crop circles are formed.
Yes. And then the intricacies. And I didn't know the science had been done on them. I had heard there are guys out in tractors
and there were.
doing it,
There were actually, and in the graphic novel coloring book, the graphic novel Phoenix Lights, UFOs and Crop Circles, that's why I put them in there, because not only is there documentation that these orbs would appear right before these really intricate, and I put 80 crop circles for people to color that are, to me, so complicated, complex,
and intricate. That's when I looked at some of those pictures,
there's no way that they could have been, and there are some that are beautiful that are made by people that have a plank that go around and whatever overnight. I mean, we're talking about within minutes they're formed. You know what I mean? So,
but not only that, in your book you talk about the scientists who really look deep into.
Oh yeah, there's
an interwoven to it that no human could do.
Exactly. Not only are they interwoven one on top of each other, do you know what I mean? Like a crisscross, but there's magnetic energies there too.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Oh yeah. People that go into a crop circle. I mean, and we talk about that a lot in the graphic novel coloring book. That people that go into that get they're like, the energy in there takes over, and some of them get lightheaded. Some of them just get feelings. I mean, it's very.
Long do they last, the crop circles? Or are they still?
Oh, they last. Yes, they last
until the energy field
until the farmers get rid of them, because some of the farmers don't want them there because people come to see them and they don't want them on their land.
Not only that, but they need that land producing.
Exactly. And it's not just crop circles.
Stays there or no?
To be honest, I haven't been in one, and that's a very good question. So I will ask somebody that's involved with that.
Right.
The energy, but I think it does. I don't know for sure. I can't say for sure, but I will ask that question.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
But also they're formed sometimes in the sand in places. There's different places around the world, and some of them are very close, and that's interesting too when you really look at the data. Very close to like Stonehenge. They're very close to other sacred areas. Okay, that have a mystical energy about it, and history.
What we didn't get into is the portals.
Yeah.
Well, no time,
And the other thing I was going to do, and I have it ready to read here, is you didn't get to my automatic writing yet?
No. There can't be that much left in the book.
there is, and then I go into the appendix with more. That's the appendix has the extra chapters of what's happened since. You're still reading.
Now I got to the crop circles.
So you're still reading the main book, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Because what?
Yeah, I'm confused myself. Because I thought I was pretty close to the end.
Oh, maybe you are.
Yeah, and
did you? Because you would remember the automatic writing, because
I didn't get to that part. The automatic.
Okay.
Oh wait, no. There was a part where you got up in the middle
of the night and went downstairs. Yes, and I was going to read that to the audience, but there wasn't time.
Right.
If you want me to read it now, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, I mean, there was some real paranormal stuff that convinced me that this was real. Because I was really questioning
I do want you to read it, and then I want to come back, and Well, there are a number of things. I want the why. I always want the why. Why now? Where they go to? Why are they not here all the time?
They are.
Yeah, but that's what I want to know. I mean, we hear sightings all over, but did they ever land? Did they ever get out and walk among us? All of those things. And then also in reading your history, and I've read a little bit before too, I think they came here in the past, they were much more acceptable to be here.
Yeah.
And
there's a double-edged sword there, because with primitive man, okay, there are, and again, this is speculation on experts, quote unquote, okay, that have looked into this, okay, and including Eric von Däniken. If that was one of the first books I read on Chariots to the Gods, because way back when, and that's one of the reasons that they probably didn't want to just come forward, like here we are, and maybe they did, and the people of the day were so freaked out, and they had such advanced, the ETs, if I would call them ETs, had such advanced technology that was so out of any realm of reality to these people that they thought that they were gods.
Right. But there was a period before that where they seemed very comfortable.
Well, there's a period where there's like Egyptian and Grecian times, where it seems that there was a relationship with these beings. And if you really look back, I mean, there's even the pyramids, they can't build them now.
No, I know.
How did they know how to do that, or how did they come to be?
And they come up with the craziest ideas. Well, 1,000 years and 10,000 people.
With ropes, with with 1,000 pounds,
right.
stone.
I know. Okay. It's just crazy stuff.
Or like other, like Easter Island with the big. I mean, how did they get there? How it's like whatever. I mean, there's technologies, and it's worldwide. I mean, not only are there metallithic things worldwide that are so unusual and have these energies, like people can even pass through, like you mentioned, a portal. Some people have disappeared, and so forth. And
that's a little freaky.
What can I say? I mean, these things have been documented. So, or like, these giant rocks on top of a teeny weeny. How did it get there? Kind of thing. But who knows? I mean, there's always a logical explanation that somebody comes up with.
I don't hear the logical explanations. I hear crazy explanations, like building the pyramids or the flares, or I hear this craziness. But I don't hear logical explanations other than it is otherworldly. They are from somewhere else. There is, to me, no other explanation.
Whether, like I say, I don't know if what we're seeing, and it could be a combination of all the above, if they're ETs, interstellar, intrastellar, as well as interdimensional, which is my feeling. Okay, that they're right here along with us. But, and if you look, and that's why finally in the book, it wasn't until the second edition of the book, 10 years later, that or in 2010, I have to look that up, that I actually shared the missing time data, because that to me was so out there. And what I shared is what what I remember. So did something happen? Was I taken above a ship? I don't know.
I mean, you didn't remember it at all, right?
No, I stick to the data.
Somebody analyzing your
photographs. Right. We thought it was a couple minutes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But the pictures speak otherwise. Okay. Right. And he had me do an experiment and go out on the balcony and actually take pictures. And this was 3 years later, but take pictures of the skyline. And, not only did he notice that there were the same phenomena in the same location then in 95, disappearing as the closors were disappearing. But he said, look at the skyline. And for me, it was just a skyline, right? Yeah. He said, there are many groups of lights on in the first picture that are off in the last picture. He said, that doesn't happen in a couple of minutes. Your husband and you, because we verify that. He said, he did the experiment one night every hour, one night every half hour. I did another night every 15 minutes to see when the lights would go out.
Right.
And I usually take a bath. And my husband originally pulled me out of the bath between 7 and 8 when we're home.
Mhm.
So let's be conservative and say the starting time is 8 p.m. The groups of lights, not just individual lights, but groups of lights started going out at 9.
Yeah.
The last picture was indicative of 10:30, 11 o'clock. And in fact, Dr. McAfee did it again for a National Geographic show like a few years ago, like many years later, and with better equipment and software. And there were even more groups that were on in the first picture that are off in the last picture. And he guesstimated, and first he said to me, can I present this case at the upcoming 1999 MUFON International Symposium in Washington, D.C. And I said, Dr. McAfee, this is your baby. If, you share whatever you feel is appropriate, just keep my name out of it, which he was kind enough to do. There were only a handful of people that knew what I had because I wanted to find out what it was. But so I went to universities and military, but he was kind enough to do that. But he presented the case in 1999 as the first, if not the only, authenticated photographic evidence of missing time.
And there's no chance that a structure could have been in front of it. A aircraft could have been in front of it, blocking out those lights.
No, because if you look at the pictures, you see the two lights there, and in the first picture and the last picture, it actually moves. Okay, because which I didn't get into, the topography of that first picture on the Phoenix Lights Network page is really important because it shows not only a car coming down the road with spotlights, you can see how it reflects onto the road with the headlights. That doesn't happen with the Phoenix Lights. It doesn't reflect at all. Okay, so I wanted to show that to people. But right to the right of that car is a house that has skylights on the roof. That really gives the heads up, because if you look up from those skylights, that's where South Mountain and the Estrellas intersect. So in the subsequent pictures and video that I take, you can see that those things are popping up right there in the night, because you see the skylights on the bottom, and it's right there where South Mountain and the Estrellas intersect. Interesting. Another little coincidence there. But at any rate, where was I going with this?
Well, you did the time lapse trials afterwards too. Proved that it wasn't something.
Well, so the thing was that and this is really important data, is that when you look at those pictures in '95, the same exact phenomena is in the background in the same exact location. So they were there. Whatever it was, whether it was a ship, whether it was individual lights, we don't know. We don't know. We can't say definitively. But like I said, people saw these orbs detach from that.
That's the
and go out into the environment and then redock with it. So is that what happened then? I don't know. But the fact that, number one, those two lights moved. Okay, in that interim of time, whatever it was, hours or whatever, number one. Number two, there is a negative attached to the last picture, okay? The only thing in that negative, and talk about bizarre, are the two lights. There's no city lights, nothing. No other lights. But the two lights. Everything else is black.
That is, that's freaky.
So there's a lot of data to unfold here, right?
That is freaky. Oh my
God,
I want the answers.
I know.
And and it's like, wow.
Well, the other thing you mentioned with them, are they here? One of the biggest things now that's coming forward that, I've known personally for years, but that they're what they call submersible UFOs. Okay?
I've read a little bit about that.
For years. I mean, we had 70% of the earth, 60, 70% is the ocean. Okay. So they could be there for centuries and we wouldn't know.
We know more about the moon than we do about the ocean.
Exactly. I mean, we're just getting to depths now that we could never get to before. Right. So who knows how deep they are, and, could have cities down there. Some people think they have cities in the middle of the earth. That's another thing, But for sure, there is documentation, and they're showing video now of these orbs, these Tic Tac or whatever they are, vehicles. That's acceleration from, 800, from so high in the sky, just within a second, they get down to the water and they skim the water and then they go down. I mean, it's like technology that is so mind-boggling.
Yeah, so beyond
that
us,
if anybody else on Earth had that, okay, unless there was a runaway society, and that's something else. So I was sorry to say, so it could be ETs, it could be interstellar, interdimensional time travelers, because obviously whoever's doing this, some of them know what's coming,
Yeah.
Okay, and trying, because the big message, and we didn't even get to that, the big message is to wake up to what you're doing to our Earth and the planet before it's too late. That is the message that people are getting. And that's why they get involved with the peace movement, the environmental movement. They're much more aware of what they're doing personally, okay? Which a lot of near-death experiencers like myself are, that come back.
Right.
But, and with these other up experiences, okay, they come back with knowledge, with it's not
an understanding more than
this is important too, that I didn't say, that I wish I had said in the first hour, is it's not a belief anymore. It's a knowing.
It's a knowing. Huge. Yeah, that is huge.
When someone has a real true up experience.
They talked about one of the witnesses you had in your book. It came right above them and they looked right into that orb.
Yeah.
And they said, they knew them. And that orb knew them. It was a real connection, and it was a real, I can't say person, but it was a real energy, a real life, a real, I'm not quite sure what words you'd use with that, but a real connection between.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And that's why it gets back to some of your other questions. Once it reaches a critical mass, and it's getting there. I mean,
slowly, though,
very slowly.
Yeah.
But they're in no rush, I'm sure. But I'm sure they're also watching, because that's the other ingredient in this. Something out there is watching us. Something there out there supposedly. And then again, this is speculation on my part.
Right.
But is protecting us from other beings. And like I said, I don't know what else is out there.
I want them to protect us from ourselves.
Well, that's exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Because you just hit on it. And I talk about this in the book. It came to my attention that 30 years before the mass sighting in 97, this was in 67, and I think it was March, actually, also, 2 separate nuclear bases that had nuclear bombs, missiles, underground, like 90 miles, whatever it is, underground, went offline. And there were UFOs hovering right outside the gate and freaked them out. Everyone is individual. But and there's no off switch, but they all went offline for hours. And talk about a freak out. Right.
Can you imagine those people in there?
and I know one of them personally. Okay, who came forward, Dr. Robert Salas, who has since come forward. Took him 30 years to come forward, but he finally did. And suddenly it all went back on. Now you have to think, what was the message there?
Well, not only the message, what happened in that time period that they wanted it offline then?
Well,
was it because they were there, or?
They are very curious. And there's a lot of other documentation that they hover above nuclear bases a lot. So whether they're getting energy from there.
I wonder if they're gas station kind of things. They can hop in and
maybe, or they're trying to give us a message. To stop that maybe, and because there is other documentation and scientists and researchers that believe that we had a very advanced society at one time here, and that they were destroyed by something massive, whether it was an asteroid or nuclear, and that they were advanced, that they had nuclear power. So you have to wonder if they're trying to wake us up to say,
Don't do
don't
it again.
use
Yeah.
nuclear power for destruction.
Mm. Oh, geez. I kind of feel hopeless about that, our society, we just seem to be running full speed in the wrong direction. It
Well, that's
just,
why I think they're showing up more now too,
yeah, yeah.
because they're really, whoever it is that's doing this and behind it has a benevolent, and that's my own take.
Mhm.
I'm a very positive person and I like to look for
But
the positive, but
the truth is,
they haven't
as you
harmed
said,
anybody.
nothing
Exactly. Yeah.
harmful happened
And that's the
at
other thing
any
with the
time.
nuclear bases. They could have
Right.
destroyed Earth. They could have
Right.
destroyed our
Right.
society, and they could have said, you know what, these people are going in the wrong direction. We're going to start over again. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
And
they
then
didn't.
in your book too, you talk about artifacts that
Mhm.
are so beyond our
Right.
ability right now, and yet they're
Exactly.
artifacts.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that,
And there's governments that don't want that out there. They want to have the power and control so that we don't know that there's
Mhm.
so much more of a reality out there than we're being told.
right, right.
Right. And a
And
lot of people now, like yourself,
yeah,
are hooking into this other reality and
right.
knowing that it's possible and expanding their mind and
Mhm.
expanding their heart and being receptive to it. And
Right.
as I said before, with the critical mass, the more people that go there and that are open, and it's happening. It is happening. It is
Mhm.
happening, especially with the very drip disclosure, but at least we now have people that are much more attentive to what's happening and aware that, you know what, it isn't all flibberish. There is
Yeah.
something going on. It's getting to the next step. Do you know what I mean? It's happening
Right.
slowly, but hopefully we will get there before we do destroy ourselves. And again,
I was
that's the
going to say
message.
before we,
That's the
because with that
message.
climate change coming
Well,
up very quickly, that we
yes.
have, created, or,
Well,
it,
that's the other thing. And
we're certainly
again,
not trying to do anything about it.
well, each individual has to do what
Mhm.
they feel in their heart, and what these phenomena are doing are waking us up to that. Do you know what I
Right,
mean? It's like
right.
we have come so far from the source of that positive energy, the source of creation, that we don't even realize how much more we're capable of as human beings to make this world a better
Right.
world,
Now,
right?
one of your people, I think, the videographer of Village Labs,
Right.
he came out and he believed that they were coming to us, that we were spiritually advanced.
Yeah.
I looked to me like, ooh, we're way behind.
Well, no, that we're spiritual beings in
Yeah,
a
that
human
I
body.
believe. Yeah.
Okay. And I, when I was at the Arizona Heart Institute and people would come for their consultation after they had the heart test to see if there's calcium in their arteries, we would sit down and I would look at them and I'd say, this is your container for your lifetime.
Right.
And they would look at me and say, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And I said, what you put into it or not is your choice. And there is a formula to keep that container healthy. And then we go into the, the health part of it. But
Right.
That's how I look at it. I mean, we are
Right.
spiritual beings in a container for our lifetime. And, to tap into that spirit is so important. I mean, we've gotten most people, a lot of people, not most, a lot of people have gotten away from that spirit that's part of every one of us.
Right.
And one of the other things,
veil is getting thinner. That is something.
Oh yeah, no, that whatever's doing this, and I do believe that these up experiences are doing that. The more people, and millions of people have had them, whether it's out-of-body experience or near-death experience or unexplained aerial phenomena. So it's going to reach a critical mass where most people are at least open, because by the way, you don't have to have an up experience to have this positive transformation, this up transformation. What you need to do is open your heart and your mind and learn about it. And once you start learning and be open to it and really realizing that there's more than just being stuck in our human body and doing our daily whatever, it starts to open people up to be awake to, because I came back with 3 A's from my near-death experience as a child: awareness, of what, and I was always aware, I am always aware of what, even meeting you and having this connection between each
Right.
other, it's there for a reason. Okay. That's my feel of it, that it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't important. So
Right.
I really am aware of every single person I meet, every single situation. Am I supposed to take advantage of that situation or not? And again, I'll meditate sometimes, and I can tell you a good story after this, to decide if I'm going to go there or not. Just like coming forward. I mean, I
Yeah.
did some heavy duty meditation, and my
That
feeling
took
was,
a lot of
you know what?
courage. Yeah.
I surrender. If I'm really supposed to do something credible and professional with this, show me the way.
Yeah.
Show me what I have to do. I will do whatever it takes. And believe me, I will never recoup what I have put into this in monies and work. I mean, and it's a labor of love. I mean, it's fine if I'm supposed to help.
Did
and it
you
really
really
is
have the
meaningful.
choice? Did you really, if you had put it into a drawer and walked away from it, would that have nagged at you forever? That's what I mean. Did you
that's
really
the thing. I felt
have the
obliged as an educator, as a scientist, as a physician,
as a human being,
as a physician, to let people know they're not alone, that they're not crazy. Okay.
Right.
Even though most anomalies can be explained, we didn't even go into this. Just a small percentage cannot. But just because we don't have the technology yet to definitively define what these things are, it doesn't mean they're not real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's important that we get this out in the open and address it and accept it and study
and open up to it, because how much more is there?
Exactly.
So if we open up to it, before I forget, I want to ask you, what is out of body experience? You mentioned out of body experience, and I'm not
some
quite
people
sure what that is.
Well, that's very interesting. You probably know better than me. That some people can, because maybe I do it, but I don't realize it, in a dream state or whatever, get out of your spirit, gets out and wanders around. And actually the military, interestingly, has used
like
remote viewing.
Remote viewing
is very similar.
Yeah.
And they have trainings for it. Okay. Where they used
I've
it
done
during World War
shows on
II.
remote viewing. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So we have the capability. That's another capability we have that they do not want us to know about, right? But the military used it during war times, and they still do. Okay,
they still
check
do.
out their
There's
adversaries.
no doubt in my mind. Yeah,
to check out their adversaries. Before we close, though, I wanted to just get back to after the mass sighting. There were a number of paranormal things that we don't have time to get into at all. But one night, after I had a dream, what I thought was a dream that was so powerful to convince me that this is real. I was literally sucked out of my body and had it. I won't ruin it for the listener, but had a dream that I won't say what, but that I was actually killed. Okay. And sucked out of my body and enveloped in a magnificent aura of light, and felt that I tried to look at my body, but it wasn't there. But I still was alive. Do you know what I mean? Like a part of me was still alive. And it hit me that, wow, after we're dead, we still go on. Right.
Yeah.
And with that thought, I was sucked back in my body, and I woke up, and I had such thoughts in my head that were like, oh my God. I mean, I would never think of these things. And I, in the dark, went downstairs, picked up a pen, started writing on a tablet in the room in the library, and didn't even read it. I just put it down. The next day, a couple of the investigators from the Phoenix Lights Village Labs came to take measurements and stuff. They wanted to see where I saw the lights. And I was showing them through the house, and I go into the library and I said, oh, by the way, last night, and I told them the story, like right then. I mean, that's another little coincidence. They happen to be there. So they are witnesses to this.
Right.
And I said, I wrote something last night that just was flowing from me with my eyes closed. I didn't even remember what I wrote. May I read it to you?
Please, yeah.
And
definitely.
well, I said that to them.
Oh, no, I want to hear it. I read it in the book, but I want you to read it.
And so I read it to them, and I have not changed a word. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Because this really sent me on the journey. Now, there's another picture that I won't even get into now that really confirmed for me that this was real, that I have at the end of the book. That it's amazing that did it for me. That my mom came through 10 years after she passed, in a picture as clear as can be. But that's for another day. But this set me on the journey to do the journal, to do the journal. I mean, I had to find out what was going on. Okay. I don't know about other living creatures in the vast universe, but questions keep permeating my mind about the ones who are trying to get our attention now. What if these beings are as advanced spiritually as they are technologically? What if they want to share this beautiful and wondrous future with us? And what if they have already met our spirit world and know firsthand that the essence of who we are is pure? They may only be trying to help us recognize this positive spirit deep within and teach us to know ourselves for who we really are before we destroy our world. Each and every one of us is a powerful being with the strength and wisdom to deeply appreciate our earth and every living creature on it. It is time we view ourselves in a new light. This can begin by searching within yourself, within ourselves, to find goodness and love so that the consciousness of humankind can elevate spiritually above petty differences, envy, greed, lies, hatred, abuse, violence, and fear. That is our destiny. But only if each one of us chooses to look within our own soul for the answers. They are there. It isn't too late. Humankind can begin this very moment to learn and grow so that our future will benefit from our newfound knowledge, not be pulled down by our self-serving primal ignorance. It is so very important to look within yourself and to believe in yourself. Judge yourself each and every day. There will come a time when you will indeed judge every moment of your own life, the good things, the bad, the kindness, and the wrath that you and you alone have brought to other human beings, to other living things, to our earth. You will feel what it felt like to be on the receiving end. Near-death experiences have told us time and time again, and when we die, we go through a life review. God does not judge us. We judge ourselves. So maybe we should judge ourselves now. Think clearly about how we treat others, the energy and dedication we put into our relationships, especially our family, as well as our relationship to other living things we touch in this short but precious existence. So when our time does come, we won't have to endure pain and sadness, but rather we will be drenched in the ecstasy of our own love, in the magnificent light of love. And if each of us truly looks deep within, the positive energies emanating from the goodness each one of us possesses will be shared around the world. Then our beautiful journey to a new reality will have begun.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Now, this came from somewhere. I mean, it's nothing that I would have ever thought of.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was automatic writing. I mean, so my eyes were closed. I was just writing.
Wow.
I was just writing. And I started describing the 3 A's I came back with that I've really taken stock in my whole life is awareness of what comes before me. Attitude is so important. I do believe there's negative and positive energies out there. I've seen it in medicine. I've seen people that are so negative that they affect their body at that cell level and are sick all the time. I mean, I've seen it in practice. I've seen people that are positive, that because of their positive outlook and the positive energy, because I do believe that positive thoughts bring positivity to you, energies to you, as well as negative. If you're negative, you're bringing there's energies out there that are feeding on that. Okay. You want to, and the way to rid yourself of that is to think positive. Think of light, think of peace, think of just beautiful thoughts, and beautiful things will happen. So attitude is really important. Okay. Appreciation. That's the 3rd A. You know, you hear the old adage, the man was crying until he saw someone that had because he had no shoes, until he saw someone that had no feet. Okay.
Right.
Appreciate what you have. And I really recommend to people too, that, and each night I do this, that you write down from that day what you appreciate. And the positive energy that alone will bring you is so powerful that you will feel it. You will feel it. I mean, appreciation. And I, every day I thank whoever, because it seems like this whole Phoenix Lights thing is orchestrated. I don't know.
feel like
You
that
tell
too.
me.
Yeah.
But the puzzle pieces, since I decided to surrender, okay, way back in 97, the puzzle pieces just keep fitting together. I don't know where it's going to lead. We'll see where it leads. And I always hope to a very positive place, and that it just keeps helping people to learn and grow and raise awareness. And, like I said, I came forward as a scientist to get the data out there as scientific as I could, as a physician, to let people know that they're not alone, that they're, even though most anomalies can be explained, when somebody has a paranormal experience, it's real to them. And if they don't share it, it festers. We go into this in the documentary. What's so important to share. Even with one person, I always invite people to contact me in Facebook or email me. Just sharing with one person is healing. It's cathartic. It really is. It's amazing. And I, as an experiencer, know that, okay? Because here I'm an experiencer that kept it bottled up for 7 years. Once I let it go and got it out there, and then the appreciation of others coming to me, okay, that it helped them, is, I can't tell you how rewarding that is. That is like the most rewarding part of all this. And then, certainly as an educator, how could I not share? I mean, I've been educating,
how can you have all
I've been
of that
educating
information and not share it?
Well, I've been educating the community since I, even in medical school, I was doing stuff, okay, for so many years on vital health issues. How could I not share this vital issue, right?
Right.
So, it all fit together.
You have all the training to do it too. Well, you've been,
well, that's the thing. How could I waste it?
Set up for exactly
how could I waste
it?
And, people say, oh, you chose it. No, I don't go there. I don't go there. I'm very humbled by this. It is, like you said, it's my choice to do this. Okay. My husband didn't want anything to do with it. Okay. He's supportive, but he didn't understand why I wanted to do this. But for whatever reason, I don't need to do this. I have an amazing family, and I am very comfortable. I'm retired now from clinical practice, but there's something about this that I need to do this.
I was going to say, I think you do need to do this.
I do.
But it's internal. It's an in need of bringing it out. It would have made you sick probably not to.
Well, at least I would have regretted not doing it. I would have definitely regretted, because, like I said, when I came forward in 2004, and it was frustrating because, and I'm sure it was frustrating for the thousands of people that saw it, okay?
Right.
The official explanation, and most people fed into it, and there's much more to the story about how they tried to discredit the boomerang video.
But it's crazy. The explanations were just crazy.
Yeah.
I've read about the guy with the balloons with the flares attached. It's like, oh God.
I mean, really, yeah. I mean, look, God bless them. If they want to feed into a logical explanation.
I honestly think somebody had to come to him and say, hey, go out there and say that. We'll pay you. Something.
I mean, some people just want the notoriety.
Maybe. I can't imagine why they would say something that crazy. I mean, that's crazy.
Whatever. But the point is that now I know, and I feel in my heart, I have done, as much as I can do to a certain point to have the book out there, and I kept updating it so that people can read what really happened here, and that it wasn't one or two events, and it wasn't just a couple of hours. Okay.
But what about now? What about communication with the ETs? I don't know what to call them too. UFOs now. Do you have communication? Do you have?
And I do actually write in the book 10 ways that someone that chooses and has an open mind and open heart to connect with these other intelligence.
I saw those, but I want to know the feedback. I want to know.
We all have that. We all have that capability.
Right.
Everyone does. It's how much you want to tap into it. And some people, like yourself, have much more of a capability than other people, and that have chosen to do what you do. And I think with that, it's like a training ground. You learn more and more and have more and more experiences and whatever, and are opening up more. I think we all have that. And I do give 10 ways to get there. Okay.
Right.
Not everybody is going to be able to do it because some
Mhm.
people just close themselves off. I feel sorry for the people that, say, oh, it's flipperish. Oh, you're missing
Well, I
such
think that's
an
fear. I think
amazing,
that's
for
stale
whatever
little
reason,
world. Yeah. Yeah.
they're missing out on so much more of
Mhm.
what the human experience is. Okay,
Right.
let alone the
Right.
spiritual experience, but the human experience, because we as humans, we can heal ourselves. We
Mhm.
have that capability. Talk about positive energy. And I've seen it. My
Yeah.
mother was diagnosed with cancer, with colon cancer that was all over her liver. They closed her up. They didn't do anything. They said, you have 6
Wow.
months, get yourself in order. She lived 7 years. I had her visualizing. They moved from Philadelphia to Phoenix. And I had her visualizing. Pac-Man was big, used at the
Yeah.
time, like in
Yeah.
83, eating up the cancer cells.
Mhm.
Yeah, she had regular treatment too. But she went into remission for 7 years.
7 years is
I
huge.
mean, that's
Yeah.
a medical
Yeah.
miracle to me because
That is.
I was
Yeah.
there after she had the surgery. I saw the medical notes. It was already seated in the liver. Once it's seated in the liver, you're pretty much a goner. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what you have, no matter what
Mhm.
chemotherapy or whatever, especially in those days. It is what it is. And I do think
That's
that we are,
amazing.
as humans, are much more capable of so much more than we are being told. We're kept in a little reality cube.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And I think the children are even more open. Oh, I was starting to tell you after I came forward, and I was at the Arizona Heart Institute, and I was working there 7 to 7, doing Barnes and Noble and Borders tours on the weekends and doing radio programs like this into the night. It was crazy. And I was approached by filmmakers, okay, and coming from a video background, I wanted to do something visually, but I didn't have time. And this one
Mhm.
guy, Steve Lance, who father is a doctor that we knew actually,
Mhm.
and he also he graduated from Brooks Institute of Photography, which was one of the places the dean of students actually analyzed my stuff.
Yeah.
And he's in the documentary a little bit. But
I saw
anyway,
it actually.
he
Yeah.
calls me and he says, I'm coming to visit my parents. I'm coming with equipment. We're going to do a documentary. I said, whoa. I said, number one, I'm working 7 to 7. My weekends are packed. I don't have time. Plus,
Mhm.
I stayed anonymous, and I really stayed anonymous.
Right.
Very few people knew where those pictures came from, even though I let them out there. Again, it wasn't about me. People see what
Mhm.
we saw, right? And I said, I don't know, the people that are emailing me now, because now that I came forward and people are
Right.
finding me, that, they're telling me in confidence, and I take confidentiality as a physician very seriously.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I said, I don't know if they want to come forward. And at the time, also, I was being told that professors at universities could lose their grants if they mention UFOs. So
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
know I was working with the head of the optical science department at University of Arizona. I didn't know, and he's in the documentary, by the way. I didn't
Oh.
know if they would be open to be in the documentary. Every single person I asked, except one who came on later,
Mhm.
said absolutely. And it was like a little sign. And then I was asked to present, and this did it to me. I was asked to present at a middle school. Some parents had seen me at Barnes and Noble, and they set it up at their middle school, private school, very exclusive. I couldn't believe that I was invited to speak about this topic, right? Because it
To
was such a
kids.
no-no,
Yeah.
okay, to kids.
Yeah.
I walk in, and I didn't have anything. I mean, this was like right after I came forward. I just had a mishmash of videos together. I didn't have anything really organized.
Mhm.
And I walk in, there were 200 middle school students in an auditorium with parents and teachers. You could hear a pin drop.
Wow.
And I said, does anybody here believe that we're alone in the universe? Not one hand went up. I said, does anybody believe that we're not alone in the universe? Every hand went up. And I
Wow. Yeah.
realized for the first time that there is nothing in our history books
Oh
about this
no.
topic,
Nothing.
right? And I thought also, as I was talking to them, I mean, they were like on the edge of their chairs. And when I finished, and I showed them a little bit of the data, of the photo data, of the video that I took, they wouldn't stop clapping. And it was like, oh my God, these kids thirst for
Yeah.
this knowledge. That did it for me with the documentary. And I called Steve right after that, and I said, you know what? We have to do this. We have to do this.
Yeah.
We have to have something visual. And it's like a very grassroots, 5th grade level, just like the book, for all ages. Okay. Just a gentle overview that won't freak people out. It's not as technical and as detailed as the book, obviously. And we started production in May. By June, it was like, I got to make a decision here. I mean, I couldn't keep working. I couldn't do it. And I made a decision to finish a documentary, and the rest is history.
Wow. And I wanted to say on the show, watch the documentary first.
Oh, right.
Before reading the book, for
Right.
the visuals was so much
Yeah.
better. But what about that for serendipity? To be put in front of all of those kids.
That's what I'm saying. The puzzle pieces,
right.
Just kept on fitting together and even the picture from 1990. Okay. I mean, that really did it for me, that this is real. Okay. And that we do go on, and that we're all connected, and, that
It's
there's
all
so much
energy.
more
Yeah.
that people have to realize and wake up to than what we're being told.
Right.
So
well,
here we
not
are
only-
today.
Yeah, not only what we're being told, but what we'll allow ourselves to
Capable
think
of.
about.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's I always say that the Catholic Church took out reincarnation because everybody kept saying, I'll do it next time. And it was
That's
to
funny.
control, to get people to do what they want. And
There you go.
we're still here. But
There you
how
go.
are we keeping ourselves so dwarfed by
because there's so much fear, and now we know with the whole COVID thing too, there is so much fear instilled. And
but
if you can get
instilled, I feel as if
it
it's
is instilled. No,
it's not.
It is
with knowledge, even, and I don't know.
And
I
it's
think
easy
we
to
all
feed
feel
into
better.
that fear. It's so easy to feed it. And that's a great point too, because I had to make a conscious decision. Once I decided that I was going to do this, I had to say to myself, am I going to live in fear? Because there was a lot of fear, not only coming forward and being, ridiculed and discredited, but there was also entities I knew out there from people that really got in situations that were dangerous, okay, when they came forward, okay?
Right,
to say the least.
In
Okay.
today's world, it is very frightening.
Right,
And I'll
and
say
there's
today's
crazies out
world
there. I mean, there's
30
also
years
crazies
ago.
out there,
Yeah,
okay, and
yeah.
stalkers and everything. I mean, just all
Right.
combined. So I had to make a decision. Was I going to live in fear, or was I going to live in love?
Right.
And I made that, and I really try to stick to it. Okay, I really,
It's
really
got to
do.
be a decision every day.
It is sometimes.
Yeah.
It is sometimes. But, I really try to put those energies, okay, out there, the positive, loving energies out there, even when something negative happens, and try to figure out how to turn it around to a good thing.
Right.
That kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's got to be a conscious decision to do that, and each individual, and it's so easy to feed into the fear. So,
Not only feed into the fear,
and they know
but
that. They know that whoever
I know.
is controlling what's going on, whether
it
it's
is about fear.
sickness or politics or UFO realm or whatever, is because, like I said, I mean, we've been so inundated by not only the media, but Hollywood and others, to fear, and even, okay, there you go. Even when they came out with this study, what was it called? The threat assessment. Okay, it was a threat assessment. So there you go. I mean, it just always goes there. So that was one of the important reasons that I came forward too, is to allay people's fears, at least for the Phoenix Lights, and that they're capable to bring these positive energies to them. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
If they choose. And that's really important. So hopefully
and Stephen
that
Greer
message
is
got
out there to bring them in, but you said any fear will
they disappear. I mean, I've heard that time and time again. If somebody's fearful, they disappear. So, like I said, I don't know what's all out there, but I know that there are entities that are connected to us in some way. Okay. That want us to know that they're here for us, that want us to know that they're not going to harm us. And I think that's a lot of what the Phoenix Lights was about. Okay. That they're not going to harm us. Okay. That they just want us to be aware. Okay. And to wake up. to their presence in a
Mhm.
gentle, non-threatening way. And I love talking to you. I know we could probably go into another hour.
I know. I do have a quick question though.
Okay, because I got to run.
Everybody who saw the Phoenix Lights, and I don't know about the rest of the world, but the Phoenix Lights felt that calming,
Yes.
felt that
Comfort.
why then, yes, why can't everybody see them then? Because the people who are afraid would feel that calming.
Whoever was
So,
outside and saw them, saw them. I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many people have said to me, "Oh, I was inside. Why didn't I just go
Oh,
outside?"
it breaks my heart. It kind of bothers me that I didn't see them. And there are times
And it does. It bothers people.
Yeah, yeah.
And on the other side, the people that did see them,
Yeah.
so many have told me that they feel blessed.
Oh,
That
yeah.
they had the experience.
And
they feel
honored. My
blessed.
guess is honored as
And
well.
I feel
Yeah.
honored doing this. I
Yeah,
really do.
yeah.
I really do. I mean, I think you know that. I just
Yeah.
feel
Oh,
so
definitely. Yeah.
honored to be part of this huge awakening. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And mine is
Yes.
just a little contribution of it. There's so much, there's
It's
more
pretty
other
big,
people out
though,
there, and there's
to
other,
bring it out.
other things happening that are waking people up. But to be a small, even a small part of this
Right.
really important step
Right.
in our evolution.
It
Okay.
is, yeah.
I mentioned that earlier. I really think this is a big step to get us to the next part of our evolution. I mean, how many years did people think that the earth was flat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
And
But,
that the earth was the center of the universe,
Was it Mitchell who said on your documentary, my parents or my ancestors came across country in a
And a buggy,
covered wagon,
right.
and
you're
I
talking
went to the
just
moon 100
exactly
years later.
later.
I
Yeah,
mean, my
exactly.
God, when you
Exactly. I mean,
the
we have advanced
the
so, and that's another
advancement.
thing. That's another thing. Like, why all of a sudden? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
with Roswell, and that's a whole nother discussion. With
right.
Roswell and other, our technology was advanced enough that we could shoot some of these down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That we have been back engineering some of these things. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
Okay. To where suddenly, just in the last, 50, 70 years, and if anybody's interested in reading Philip Corso's book, he was, a high military person who, right before he died, wrote this book a day after Roswell, and he talks about this. He talks about the back engineering, and that when they found like Velcro, and some people have poo-pooed it and tried to discredit this, by the way.
Right.
But like Velcro,
which is typical, really, of everything that comes
and
out.
chips, little chips, and laser, and I mean a whole host of things that we never had for hundreds of years. All of a sudden we have these things. You know what I mean?
It was a real leap.
Yeah, a
in
very,
our
very big leap. So
evolution,
that's
in
a whole
our
nother
evolvement.
discussion.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I love you. Thank you so much for
Thanks
letting me
so
do
much
this.
for
I
being
think